Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on your YouTube channel. I'm back with another lesson. In today's lesson, what I'm going to do is focus your attention on some advanced grammatical structures that you can use to speak English at a higher level or at a more advanced level. Are you ready? Of course you are. But before we continue, please like this video in support of this channel and its growth. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Leave some positive comments down below to provide me with the energy I need to keep making more of these videos for you. So let's get started. The first advanced grammatical structure that you can use to form beautiful sentences or to talk about ideas that you may not have been able to talk about before without using this structure is far from it, far from it, far from it, far from it. Far from it. We use this phrase to say that the opposite of what you imagine or what you said is true or is the case, right? So we use this phrase to emphasize that the opposite of what we think, the opposite of what we imagine, the opposite of what we're thinking about, or the opposite of what we're talking about is true or is the case. So the phrase far from it. 3 examples. She is not sad, far from it. She's really happy. She is not sad, far from it. She's really happy. She is not sad, far from it. She's really happy. Which means, do you think she's sad? It's a big mistake to think that she's sad. She's not sad at all. On the other hand, on the opposite side of the story, she's really happy. So do not think she's sad. Far from it. She's really happy, which means the exact opposite of what you're thinking about or, what you imagine or what you're talking about is true and is the case. You think she's sad, but the opposite is the case. The opposite is true. She's really happy. Another example. Learning English is not difficult at all. Far from it. It's really easy and enjoyable to learn. Learning English is not difficult at all. Far from it. It's very easy and enjoyable. Learning English is not difficult at all. Far from it. It's really easy and enjoyable, which means do not think that learning English is difficult. The opposite is the case. The opposite is true. The exact opposite of what you're thinking about or, what you imagine or what you expect is true or is the case. You think English is difficult, but the opposite is true. It's really easy and enjoyable. The third example. Do you think married life is boring? Far from it. It's really exciting. Do you think married life is boring? Far from it. It's really exciting. Do you think married life is boring? Far from it. It's really exciting. Which means do not think that the married life is boring. It's really enjoyable. It's really exciting. The opposite of what you're thinking about, the opposite of what you imagine or expect about married life is true and is the case. Most people think married life is boring, but the opposite end and side of the story is the case. Married life is really exciting, right? So, do you think married life is boring? Far from it. It's really exciting. All right, let's move on to the next advanced English structure that you can take advantage of to form beautiful sentences, which is to think, say, or suggest otherwise. To think, say, or suggest otherwise. We can use otherwise after verbs like think, suggest, predict, propose, expect, or similar verbs to emphasize the idea that we're thinking about something else. We're talking about something else. We're saying something else. We're suggesting something else. So to suggest otherwise means to suggest something else. To say otherwise means to say something else, something different. To think otherwise means to think about something different or to think about something else. So to think, suggest, or say otherwise. To think about something else, something different, to say something else, something different, and to suggest something else or something different. 3 examples. Doctors say this virus is not serious, but people think otherwise. Doctors say this virus is not serious, but people think otherwise. Doctors say this virus is not serious, but people think otherwise, which means doctors say that this virus is not dangerous or is not serious, but people actually have a completely different thought. People are thinking differently. People are considering the other aspects of the story or the issue, or people have a different opinion. Doctors say or believe the virus is not serious, but people believe that the virus is serious. So people have a different thought. People have a different opinion. Another example, our teacher says English is easy, but our thick English books suggest otherwise. Our teacher says English is easy, but our thick English books suggest otherwise. Our teacher says English is easy, but our thick English books suggest otherwise. Which means our teacher says English is easy, but our thick English books are suggesting something else, are suggesting something different, are saying something different, something else, are emphasizing the idea that English is not as easy as our teacher says, right? Another example. At first you said yes to our request, but why are you saying otherwise now? At first you said yes to our request, but why are you saying otherwise now? At first you said yes to our request, but why are you saying otherwise now? At first you said yes to our request, but why are you saying otherwise now? Which means, at first you said yes to a request, but why are you saying something different now? Why are you saying something else now? Why are you saying something which is different to your original response, which was a yes, but now you're saying something different? Why? Alright, now let's get to the next English structure that if you use, you can speak English at an advanced level, which is the structure of much less. Much less, much less, much less. Much less is pretty similar to let alone that I've already talked about in my previous videos. Alright, when we use much less and let alone, we're talking about the idea, or we're emphasizing the idea that the next item that we're talking about or we're suggesting will not happen at all, or is even less likely or probable because something better, something more important, something more significant, something greater has not happened. So by using much less or let alone, we're emphasizing that, B will not happen at all, or the likelihood or chance of B happening is very low or next to like nothing, or is actually very low or zero, because A, which is better, stronger, and more significant, has not happened or did not happen. Let me provide you with 3 examples. She can't even walk, much less run. She can't even walk, much less run. She can't even walk, much less run, which means she's not even able to walk. Then you shouldn't expect her to run. So the expectation that she will run is ridiculous, childish, and funny because she's not even able to walk, right? Which means she will not be able to run at all. So she can't walk, she can't even walk, much less run. Another example. She won't even look at this food, much less taste it. She won't even look at this food, much less taste it. She won't even look at this food, much less taste it. She won't even look at this food, much less taste it, which means when she does not like to even look at it, then the idea that you expect her to taste it is ridiculous, is like baseless, is funny, right? So she will not even look at this food, let alone or much less taste it. Another example. He doesn't know how to turn on a car, much less drive it. He doesn't know how to turn on a car, much less drive it. He doesn't know how to turn on a car, much less drive it. He does not know how to turn on a car, much less drive it, which means he doesn't even know how to turn on a car, how to switch on a car. Then how do you expect him to drive it? How can he drive a car when he does not even know how to turn it on? Or when you expect him to drive a car when he does not even know how to drive it, people laugh at you, or you got a lot of silly thoughts, right? Now let's proceed to the next English structure that if you can use, your English is advanced, which is someone is to do something. Someone is to do something. Someone is to do something. What does it mean when we say someone is to do something? The structure of someone or subject is to do something emphasizes the idea that someone is supposed to do something. So someone is to do something is a more formal way of saying someone is supposed to do something, or someone has planned to do something, right? Let me provide you with a couple of examples. We are to travel soon. We are to travel soon. We are to travel soon, which means we're supposed to travel soon. We're expected to travel soon. We've made some plans to travel soon. So we are to travel soon. Another example. I am to receive my brand new car on 12th of September. I am to receive my brand new car on 12th of September. I am to receive my brand new car on 12th of September. I am to receive my brand new car on 12th of September, which means I'm supposed to receive my new car on 12th of September. I'm expected to receive my new car on 12th of September. Another example. What is your father to do this year? 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 Which means what is your father supposed to do this year? What is your father expected to do this year? What is your father to do this year? Or what is your father expected or supposed to do this year? Now I've got to focus your attention on the next grammatical structure that you really need to learn how to use to speak at a more advanced level, which is the suffix of to be. The suffix of to be, as you can see here. We can add the suffix of to be to nouns to say that someone will actually soon become a certain type of person. Let me put it this way. When we say father to be, we mean that someone is about to become a father, or someone will become a father soon. When we say mother to be, it means someone will become a mother soon. When we say teacher to be, it means someone will become a teacher soon. So we can use the suffix of to be after nouns like mother, father, teacher, generally nouns, to say that someone will become a certain type of person, right? Let me provide you with a couple of examples. I know this one might sound a little bit confusing, but I know for a fact that the next examples that I'll be providing you with will go a long way towards clearing up the confusion and making it much easier for you to understand what I'm talking about. I think she's a mother to be. I think she is a mother to be. I think she's a mother to be. I think she's a mother to be, which means I think she will become a mother soon. I think she will become a mother soon. I went on a date with my wife to be. I went on a date with my wife to be. I went on a date with my wife to be. I went on a date with my wife to be, which means I went on a date with the girl that will become my future wife, or I went on a date with a girl that will soon become my future wife. So I went on a date with my wife to be. And the third example, who do you think is the new president to be in your country? Who do you think is the new president to be in your country? Who do you think is the new president to be in your country? Which means, who do you think is the person that will soon become the new president of your country? Who do you think is the person that will soon become the new president of your country? So we use the suffix of to be after nouns to say that a specific noun that we're using will soon become a certain type of person, or will soon have a certain type of position. All right, now let me concentrate your attention on the next phrase that if you use more often and more frequently, you'll be able to speak English at a more advanced level, which is the phrase in a manner of speaking, 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 in a manner of speaking. In a manner of speaking means in some ways, but not exactly. In some ways, but not exactly, right? In a manner of speaking. A couple of examples. Are you friends with Peter? Well, in a manner of speaking. Are you friends with Peter? Well, in a manner of speaking. Are you friends with Peter? Well, in a manner of speaking, which means I'm friends with Peter, but we're not exactly friends with one another. We don't know each other much, but I somehow know him, and we can say that we are relatively friends with one another. The next example. Do you know him? In a manner of speaking. Do you know him? In a manner of speaking, which means in some ways, somehow, but not exactly. Did you learn today's lesson? Did you learn today's lesson? Well, in a manner of speaking, teacher. In a manner of speaking, teacher. In a manner of speaking, teacher. Which means yes, somehow, but not exactly and completely. In some ways, but not exactly and completely. Getting to the next English phrase that if you use, you can talk about a broader range of topics, a wider range of topics. The structure of the X to end all X's, the A to end all A's, or the something to end all things. We can use this phrase to say that something is the most important, the best, the most significant, the most ideal, the most modern, and the greatest and the best of its kind. Let me give you a couple of examples. I know all this explanation might complicate matters further, might throw you into a much higher level of confusion, but I don't want to let this happen, so I don't want to keep explaining things to you, because if I keep explaining things to you, then you just get confused more and more. And here I'm not trying to throw you into any further confusion or into any higher levels of confusion, which is why I think the next examples that I'll be providing you with will definitely go a long way towards helping you gain a better understanding of what I'm talking about. The first example. They claim this is the car to end all modern cars. They claim this is the car to end all modern cars. They claim this is the car to end all modern cars, which means they claim that this is the best, the most modern, the most technologically advanced, the greatest car of its kind, that no other car can be on a par with, can catch up with, can keep up with, can be better than, can be greater than, can be more advanced or more, let's say, sophisticated than. Another example. I watched the movie to end all action movies. I watched the movie to end all action movies. I watched the movie to end all action movies, which means I watched the movie that is the best, the greatest, the most perfect of its kind. And you can't find any other movie which might be better, more exciting, greater and more significant than the one that I watched. Another example. They're building the smart city to end all cities in the world. They're building the smart city to end all cities in the world. They're building the smart city to end all cities in the world, which means they're building the best, the greatest, the most fantastic, the most advanced, the smartest city in the world of its kind, that no other city in the world can be on a par with, can compete with, or can catch up with, or can be better, greater, more advanced, more modern, or more significant than. And finally, we're proceeding to the last English phrase of today's video that you can use to show everyone that you can speak English at a more advanced level, which is the structure of 2 plus adjectives plus 4 words. 2 plus adjectives plus 4 words. When we use the structure of 2 plus adjectives plus 4 words, for example, too angry for words, too expensive for words, too silly for words, too difficult for words, we're emphasizing that something is extremely expensive, extremely difficult, someone is extremely angry. So 2 plus adjectives plus 4 words emphasizes that someone or something is extremely plus that adjective, or is extremely that certain type of adjective. A couple of examples. How was your trip? Oh, too expensive for words. Too expensive for words. How was your trip? Oh, too expensive for words. Too expensive for words, which means our trip was extremely expensive. Extremely, extremely expensive. Another example. The weather is too cold for words today. The weather is too cold for words today. The weather is too cold for words today, which means the weather is extremely cold today. The weather is unbelievably cold today. The weather is extremely cold today. So the weather is too cold for words today. And the third example. I feel confused. My new car is too advanced for words. I feel confused. My new car is too advanced for words. I feel confused. My new car is too advanced for words, which means I feel confused. My new car is extremely advanced. I feel confused whenever I want to use my new car because it's extremely advanced. It's very advanced, extremely advanced. I cannot use it. It's too advanced for words. All right, guys, that's about all. So in today's lesson, you learned lots of useful structures and phrases that you can use to take your English to the next level and speak English, this beautiful language, at a more advanced level. Now what I want you to do is like this video if you enjoyed watching it, which you definitely did. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Turn on the notification bell not to miss any of my future videos, and leave some positive comments down below to provide this guy with the energy he needs to keep making more and more and more and more of these videos. I'll be back soon.